2020 was a year full of the unexpected that led us to see death, surprise, and no limit of how wild and random things got. It was a crazy year for sure, and even with a lot of twists and turns, we were able to find great times and witness major things. So, one of the big things that happened during the year of 2020 was COVID. So, COVID-19 is also known as the coronavirus. It's a disease called SARS, like CoV-2. The COVID-19 symptoms is a big list, which includes fever or chills, cough, shortness of breath, fatigue, headaches, loss of taste or smell, sore throat, nausea, and congestion. Older adults and people who have severe underlying medical conditions like heart or lung diseases seem to be at higher risk for more serious complications if they do get it. So how you get COVID? COVID-19 spreads by you being in contact with someone who has the disease, and they can either be asymptomatic or symptomatic. If someone is to cough, sneeze, or touch something and they had it or have it, then it's easily spreadable, and it takes just that to get it. So it spreads very easily as well if you're in contact with within 6 feet of someone who has been infected. The cases and deaths of right now, so as of December 7th, 2020, the total cases of COVID-19 in Colorado are 262,000. And then as of December 7th, 2020, the total cases in the United States are at 14.8 million. And also, like, some of the people that do have it, like, don't get tested. They just know. So there could be more. And then as of December 7th, 2020, the total deaths of COVID-19 in the U.S. are 283,000. Our cases recently have hit a very, very high peak. It does not help our economy with how we can't go to work and stuff. Yeah.
COVID took a big crash on the stock markets and the economy alone. COVID caused schools, shops, and borders to shut down and close and put half of humanity under some type of lockdown or quarantine. It also caused an economic shock 3 times worse than the 2008 financial crisis. Europe and emerging markets have been hit economically, and China has escaped a recession. The stock market was also hit by COVID in 2020 alone. Due to COVID, the stock market's crash was the biggest crash since the Wall Street crash in 1929. The Dow Jones Industrial Average Index dropped around 8,000 points in 4 weeks, from February 12th to March 11th, 2020, but has since been recovered to 29,884 points as of December 2nd, 2020. Stock markets are expected to take 3 years to recover.
Almost one of the biggest parts of the 2020 election, or of the 2020, was the election. The election was the largest election we have to date, according to a New York Times article, clocked in at over 159.8 million votes. During the entire year, the crisis of many events became connected to politicians. And the quote, "the most important election of our lifetime," went viral. MSNBC reported that it is the most votes we have had in any election, and the most memorable part of the election was the debate. Fox News talked about the debates and said that it hurt both candidates, as many times the candidates were attacking each other, and when compared to the 2016 election, many found that it was much worse. The worst part of the debates was that the candidates were attacking each other, such as Trump talking about Biden's son, who had passed away, and Biden blaming many of the COVID incidents on Trump. The election was between Donald Trump and his running mate Michael Pence and Joe Biden and his running mate Kamala Harris. Voting during COVID was very hard because of much of the social distancing and all the other practices that we had to follow. But they slowly made it through, and everybody seemed to get out and vote, doing their part, whether through mail-in voting, early voting, or online voting. The most important part of the election, perhaps, was Kamala Harris winning. She's the first colored vice president in our nation's history and the first woman vice president in our nation's history. The New York Times reported that she came from a solid Indian background with some African American. This means that she is the first of her kind in there. She was the former senator of California before being elected, and upon election, is already talking about doing a lot. It'll be very interesting to see what they do. And it was a very interesting turnout of the 2020 election. Now to the conclusion. The conclusion, 2020 was filled with very memorable moments, such as COVID, a bad economy, and one of the most important elections of our nation's history. 2020 is a year that will be truly interesting for future generations to learn about and experience that we will never forget. Hopefully we can look back on these times and laugh one day. In a world where we don't have to wear masks to do anything or everything, where political rivalries split a country, and in a world where the economy isn't the thing we have to keep in the back of our heads all the time. The twists and turns kept us on our toes, and soon we can put it behind us. Maybe.